People, we confuse our kids. We can put a rat in a cage, and there's a red door and a blue door. And the red door, if he goes through there, he gets shocked. And in the blue door, there's food. We put that rat down there, and you start hollering, "Little rat, don't go in the red door, you'll get shot." He doesn't pay any attention to that. They don't pay attention to what you say. Okay? And then he goes to the red door, and he shocks the end of his nose off. And it's smoking, and he backs out and blinking his eyes. And he goes in the blue door, and his friends are in there, and he eats. This is a stupid rat. And you take him out and put him in the cage the same way the next day, and he forgets. Blows the end of his nose off again. He comes backwards out of that thing like... How many times does he have to do that before he learns? How many times? Or whatever. Now, when this kid is stinky, and you put her in timeout, don't talk to her, don't explain it. All we do is confuse it and give them more attention. You tell her ahead of time. When you are intolerable, or you're disrespectful, or I get sick and tired of you being around here and putting up with your nonsense and your stupid behavior, you're going to time out. And you can stay in there until I feel it's okay to come out. And then you can come out and you're on probation. And you can be sweet and loving, or as soon as you're bad again, you're gone for a long time again. And they will learn that it's a privilege to be in your presence. If you want to be in my presence, you must behave yourself. I will not be abused. You cannot do that to me. If you want to be in my presence, you have to behave yourself. I don't have to put up with this junk. And I will not. Now that's teaching the child boundaries. Right now, the boundaries that we teach our children is that they can harass us and whine. And whenever there's a whiner, there's a whinee paying off. A beggar, a beggee paying off. A tantrum and a power struggle, it pays off. The children learn what works in our home, and they do that. And because you and I were raised in these dysfunctional homes, we play our tapes and we try to do the things that we think are right, and they don't work. Because we've all got these patterns of behavior that don't work. And the harder we try, the worse it gets. Anybody figure that out yet? Because we love and we're hooked. Okay, another question?
So, are you saying we should never remind a child? I've got a 13-year-old daughter that has a really hard time getting up, but I think she's a real sound sleeper. So sometimes I
A real sound sleeper. You hear that, people?
Reminding her that her alarm went up and she better get up. I should never do that.
I don't think so. You're teaching her to be irresponsible about her time management. And you're teaching her that other people will take care of her irresponsibility and rewarding her for her irresponsibility. She's getting attention. And so what you're doing is training her not to be responsible. I'm speaking as a behavioralist here. So the idea that you should never remind somebody of something is not always true. Like you got a 2-year-old, you told them don't go in the street, but a 3-year-old or something, and they're in the street. And there's a truck coming. Mr. Joe says only tell them one time. They got to learn by their consequences. Here comes this truck man. He's really bearing down. It's going to be quite a lesson today. You know, and whop. You got to use some sense, right? But I want to tell you, a child that's 13 years old and who has a problem about getting up because they sleep so hard has an issue they got to cope with in life. Is that true? And they're going to have to deal with their problem. And it's their problem, not yours. And by being irresponsible, she shifts it to you, and you rescue. And when you rescue, you are saying, I acknowledge that you are not capable. I acknowledge that you are not capable. You are deficient. Therefore, I, the superior being, will correct this and keep you afloat until you mature. Pardon me. Okay? Do you get it? All right, but isn't that the message?
But see, she has missed the bus so many times.
Yes.
But I guess not enough.
She gets to school, doesn't
But she gets to school.
And then I charge her to take her to the bus.
So you charge her?
Yeah.
I think I would just
She pays
give up on
taxi
it.
service.
She pays taxi service, so
Yeah.
you're kind of halfway there.
A little bit.
But the real issue is you're still backing her up.
Yeah.
Now see, somewhere, some kids need a little more than others. They're all different, right? But we can make excuses because we want them to be to school. And we don't want them to have to pay fines. And we don't want them to have to do this. So we jump in and rescue. Rescuing is a terrible trap. It reinforces irresponsible behavior. And that's exactly what you're doing. I would suggest to you, for 6 months, you never say a thing about it. And see how things work. And you will find that she's very, very capable and will manage her problem. That she's much smarter than you think. And then,
Go to school.
if she doesn't go to school, I know these terrible things happen. She might flunk 2nd grade.
Well, they could care less.
Yes, they could. Now, isn't this a real big one? This is part of the rescue thing. Isn't this part of the psychology? The child can't possibly understand how important school is, or how important church is, or how important it is to have good friends and to stop at this music, or whatever. Is that true? And so because they don't understand, we should rush in and fix it. It was kind of not too fun for David in our house. Because after about 6th grade, David was not interested in school much. And he would just take the easy classes, and he wouldn't bring his books home to do homework. And because he wouldn't do this, he would get report cards or progress reports that were really not up anywhere up to where his capabilities were. And this freaked me out. That punched a button in me that just sent me up ballistic. Education is very important to me. And he couldn't possibly understand how important it was to do well in school, because he's got to go to college, he's got to support a family, etc., etc. Okay, so David was quite a challenge. And I'd go to school and I'd talk to the Spanish teachers and I'd talk to the counselors. How can we motivate this boy? He wasn't concerned. David, get in here and do your homework. I don't have any books. Well, where's your books? I don't bring them home. Those kids got books. Don't they have books in school anymore? I don't leave my school. His idea was that if the teacher gave you homework and didn't give you enough time in class to do it, that was their problem. He wasn't going to haul books home and ruin his life because some teacher couldn't plan better. Okay? That was his attitude. I mean, really. And I was jumping up and down 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, clear on out. Then my boys go into the Marine Corps out of high school, called attitude adjustment. They go into the Marine Corps for 6 months and come back and go into the reserve program. Then if they want to be an officer, they can do it in college and go on with it. But they get a good look at it, and I believe service is very good for a boy. You know, especially when they're not shooting at you, okay? That's different. All right, so he goes in, then he comes back. And he says, Dad, I want to get an education. I really do, but I don't think I learned anything in high school. He got accepted on probation, I think, in a college, and he did fine. See, my background is educational psychology and how to study, and how to learn, and how to teach. That's my area. That's what I've studied. Did you think it made me happy when my boy turned around and said, I want to learn? So we got him a tutor, and he paid for part, and I paid for part. And he took the hardest classes they could in the first 2 years. And he got straight A's. I think he got 1 B in physics. He sweat bullets. I mean, he struggled. And would you believe he took a couple English classes and learned all the English he never learned in high school? He took some math classes and learned all the math he never learned in high school. Do you believe it? And I had been lying to him. I said, if you don't shut it down, you won't get in college. He did get in college. And he got in college, and he did so well that first 2 years, he got a full academic scholarship to a major university. And then he got accepted in law school and graduated with honors. And a couple months ago, he got promoted to major in the Marine Corps. He's overseas. It's a career for him. He loves it. He loves the military, and he loves his law. So he's doing fine. This was the boy that I was hammering and jumping on and screaming about. It ruined our relationship. He didn't want to see me coming around. It was always on his case. When they turn on to school, they turn on to school. And when they don't turn on to school, they don't turn on to school. And they have their agenda. Now, I'm to this point. If I had it all to do over again, I tell you what I would do. I would not hammer him about school. I would say, you want to study? You studying tonight? No, I don't want to study. I'd say, let's go to a ball game. I would build a relationship and enjoy my son. They are gone so fast. He is a wonderful man, but I strained that relationship by demanding and taking the responsibility for his education. A kid's going to flunk 2nd grade. You want to flunk 2nd grade? Hey, there's a lot of good reasons for flunking 2nd grade, Herkimer. You don't like to do your math. You don't want to do your spelling. You won't do your homework. You're giving the teacher a bad time. You're giving me a bad time. I got my education. I did 2nd grade. This is your chance. You don't want to do it? Hey, that's okay. Flunk 2nd grade. A lot of good reasons for flunking 2nd grade. First, you can just kind of slack off for the rest of the year. Second, you'll probably be the biggest kid in class next year. You can beat up everybody. Hey, there's a big one. And 3, you know half the stuff. You got a big jump on next year. Flunking is okay. Well, I don't want to flunk. I want to go with my... Well, get down there and do your spelling. Well, come help me. I'll help you a little bit, but it's your responsibility. I'm not going to come in and do it for you. Put the burden on the kid. No, they don't understand how important church is. No, they don't understand how important school is. No, they don't understand how important it is to have good friends. No, they don't understand how important it is to work and to learn and to grow and defer gratification. They do not understand. But they understand what is right and wrong. In their hearts, they know. There's not a kid in school that doesn't know they should be studying when they're in school. Do you know that? Kids know what's right and wrong. You put the burden on them and say, it's your life, you're responsible for it, make any kind of life you want. Now, I believe firmly in what I just said. I tell you that with all the sincerity in my heart. If I had it to do over again, I would not beat my kids up about school. I'd say, it's your responsibility, you handle it. And I'd work on the relationship and I would love them. Not into rescuing at all. There's some things that are so sacred in our lives we should not be hammering kids about. Okay, comment here.
My biggest problem in all this
Is?
you say take action. I can't think of a doggone thing to do, so I walk out.
So you walk out. The bed isn't made, take the bed. The toys are laying around, pick them up and confiscate them.
Okay, they aren't doing their dishes.
Then no dinner. David would not make his bed. How do you make a kid make their bed? The kid's bigger than I am. He's 17 or 18 years old. Mother's complaining to me, this boy will not make his bed. Do something, Dad, with your son. So I go up and talk to him. I'm going to talk to him man to man. Son, we make our beds in this home. Now I want you to make your bed. Will you make your bed? No. Why? Well, because I just mess it up again. You make it and then you mess it up again. You make it and you mess it up again. He says, why do you do that? That's stupid. I said, make the bed. We make the beds. Can I count on you? Mother's on my case. Can I count on you? No. Why? Why should we make our bed every day? I said, I don't know. I really don't know. Doesn't make sense to me either. I think it's a girl thing. But anyway, make the bed. Can I count on you? No, you can't. I'm not going to do it. Can you argue about that? I give up. I go downstairs. Next morning he comes in. He says, where's breakfast? I said, we don't have it anymore. We don't have it ever anymore? Ever? No, we're done with it. Well, why? Well, I thought about it, and I figured if I fed you, you'd just get hungry again. He thought for a minute or two, and he said, Dad, I'm going to go make my bed. I said, smart boy. I'll cook breakfast. I want to tell you, you hold all this stuff, and you need to have a new mental set. There's millions of things these kids need. All their food, all their clothes, and everything. Now, how to get the kids to do that is an issue for another course.
I want to ask one question. I've seen parents say to their kids, they count to 1, you better do it by 3. 1, 2, 3. Is that effective?
That is not effective. And I appreciate that question. When you tell your kids, you get in here. I am serious. Move it, Herkimer. You get in here. Don't make me come out there. You're going to be sorry. You're going to die if I have to come out there and get you. Now get in here. And mother tells them over and over and over. Is that right? And the kid isn't scared. They just sit there. Is that true? Isn't it? Mm-hmm. And so mother goes to the big guns. Okay, you had it. Okay, 1. Boy, this is 1. 2. Is that right? And 2.5. And 2 3/4. And 2 7/8. Is this how kids learn obedience? No, it's how we teach them their fractions. When you say 1, 2, 3, and you talk to them, and you introduce this 1, 2, 3 joke, what you're doing is teaching them don't move till 3. Don't listen to the first things. Don't mean a thing. She's not even serious till she gets to 3. Right?